This is the story of how the Las Vegas Sphere became a $2.3 billion project that many people immediately labeled a failure. In this video, we're breaking down how a venue built to change entertainment ended up carrying massive losses, sparking public criticism, and still managing to become one of the most talked about buildings of the decade. The basic facts. Las Vegas is no stranger to bold ideas, but the Sphere still managed to stand out the moment it appeared east of the Strip at 255 Sands Avenue. Its connection to the Venetian through a pedestrian bridge gives it a direct link to one of the busiest areas in the city, and its unusual shape makes it impossible to ignore. Sphere Entertainment operates the venue today, and Vici Properties owns a share of the land it sits on. Behind the design is Populous, a global architectural firm known for major stadiums, working with structural engineers from Severud Associates and Walter P. Moore. AECOM's Hunt Division handled a large part of the construction, and their involvement tied the project to experienced builders who were used to large-scale arenas. Planning for the Sphere began when the Madison Square Garden Company announced it in 2018. By September 27th of that same year, the groundbreaking ceremony set the entire process in motion. With construction stretching from 2019 through 2023, the project outlasted multiple economic cycles, supply shortages, and global disruptions. When U2 stepped on stage for the opening show on September 29th, 2023, guests walked into a building 366 feet tall and 516 feet across. They stepped into nearly 875,000 square feet of engineered space shaped around the idea of total immersion. Through this design, the venue could seat 17,600 people, or around 20,000 if standing sections were included. Above them, the interior screens stretched around the audience using 64,000 LED tiles to display a massive 16K by 16K resolution image on roughly 160,000 square feet of surface. Outside, the exosphere covered 580,000 square feet, fitted with around 1.2 million LED pucks capable of producing over 250 million colors. The exterior quickly became a landmark, visible across the city and from airplanes flying over Las Vegas. What the Sphere was supposed to be. From the beginning, the Sphere was described as the future of live entertainment. The project didn't settle for a bigger screen or larger seating capacity. Instead, it aimed to change how audiences experience concerts, films, and events. Holoplot's audio system shaped sound with a precision that let engineers direct audio to individual sections without losing clarity. Around 10,000 seats included haptic technology that vibrated with the audio, allowing the audience to feel bass lines, wind effects, or motion cues from the screen. The experience wasn't limited to the events themselves. Sphere Studios in Burbank became the venue's creative engine. The facility developed the Big Sky camera system, built specifically to produce content for the curved 16K screen. That meant every detail, from the shots used in the Sphere experience to the footage captured for special effects, had to be designed for this one-of-a-kind display. This approach made the Sphere more than a venue, turned it into a specialized production ecosystem, and that level of detail placed enormous demands on the budget. Every new feature required new tools, and each new tool demanded new processes. How the cost exploded. When the initial projection came out in 2019, a $1.2 billion price tag with a 2021 opening seemed ambitious but achievable. The city regularly built large attractions, and the Sphere fit the trend. However, that early estimate quickly unraveled. Rising material costs, design changes, and the global supply chain challenges that emerged in 2020 all added pressure. By June 2021, the projected cost climbed to around $1.8 billion. The final number pushed the project to nearly $2.3 billion. That placed it above the price of Allegiant Stadium, which cost about $1.9 billion and held more than triple the seating capacity of the Sphere. The financial strain eventually led to disputes between AECOM and Sphere Entertainment over the rising expenses. Each side raised claims about responsibility for delays and overruns, and those disputes reflected how far the project had drifted from its original timeline. With the finishing touches completed in 2023, the Sphere became the most expensive entertainment venue in Las Vegas history. That achievement added pressure. The company needed strong and steady revenue to justify a cost that had roughly doubled from the initial plan. Early losses and financial trouble. Even with a globally famous opening act, the numbers behind the project triggered concern. Sphere Entertainment posted a loss of about $98.4 million in its first quarter of notable operations, a figure that spread rapidly through news outlets and investor circles. This wasn't the kind of launch that helped ease fears about ballooning construction costs. The company's financial picture didn't improve quickly. Fiscal 2024 ended with an operating loss around $341.2 million. During the October to December 2023 quarter, the venue brought in around $167.8 million, but the company still reported an overall loss. The situation remained challenging as time passed. For the quarter ending December 31st, 2024, revenue reached about $308.3 million, but the company recorded another operating loss, this time approximately $142.9 million. Analysts pointed to several consistent issues: costly original content, high maintenance demands, limited scalability, and broader financial strain across the organization. MSG Networks then became part of the conversation when Sphere Entertainment warned that the network could face bankruptcy if it couldn't refinance debt due in October. Suddenly, the Sphere wasn't just a venue struggling to stabilize its finances. It was part of a larger company battling multiple layers of risk. Several analysts downgraded the stock and openly described the venue's profitability outlook as disappointing. Public reaction mirrored these concerns, adding to the growing narrative that the Sphere was a costly misstep. Early controversies. The Sphere's early challenges weren't limited to financial figures. Even before the opening night, concert-goers who purchased lower bowl seats for U2 discovered the screen was partially blocked from their view. The venue addressed the issue with refunds or new seats, but the incident raised early questions about whether its design sacrificed practicality in favor of spectacle. Local reaction was mixed once the venue opened. The Exosphere's brightness caught national attention after viral photos showed entire streets washed in colorful light. Residents in nearby neighborhoods described the nighttime glow as overwhelming, and noise complaints added another layer of tension. In November 2024, local resident James K. filed a lawsuit centered on noise levels and a county waiver allowing the Sphere to exceed standard sound limits. By December 2024, Sphere Entertainment reached an agreement to cap sound at 85 decibels, while bringing nearby property levels down to about 40 decibels. Beyond Las Vegas, a plan to build a similar Sphere in London collapsed after residents and local officials raised concerns about light pollution. London's mayor rejected the proposal in November 2023, and MSG withdrew the plan entirely in early 2024. Critics used that decision as further evidence that the Sphere model carried serious challenges outside of Las Vegas. The business model problem. The Sphere's business model depended heavily on content that couldn't simply be ported over from other venues. Its massive curved screen was its greatest strength, but also the biggest obstacle for creators. Producing custom visuals required specialized tools from Sphere Studios and complex workflows that added significant cost. Postcard from Earth, the first Sphere experience, reportedly carried a production cost of around $61 million. That number set expectations about the financial scale future projects would require. Succeeding content showed similar trends. The Wizard of Oz at Sphere, produced with Warner Bros. Discovery and Google, had an estimated budget approaching $100 million. These high production costs forced artists and studios to weigh the value of presenting on the Sphere's screen against the financial risks. Concert residencies still brought in crowds, but original visual productions became an expensive way to fill the calendar. The Sphere hosted concerts, sporting events, and corporate shows with strong attendance. Yet the long-term question remained, could the venue maintain enough custom content to justify its operating model? What nobody expected: massive revenue. As early losses fueled criticism, the Sphere delivered an unexpected figure. Billboard reported that in 2024, the venue earned around $420,500,000 from 1.3 million concert tickets, placing it at the top of the global venue rankings. That performance marked the highest annual gross in Billboard box score history. U2, Dead & Company, and the Eagles attracted large crowds, and the venue produced consistent sellouts during their runs. At the same time, the Exosphere became a major advertising space. Brands saw value in displaying logos and animations on one of the most visible surfaces in Las Vegas. This combination of ticket revenue and advertising helped shift the narrative. Even in quarters where the company posted losses, Sphere-specific revenue remained impressive. The venue's appeal turned out to be far stronger than critics anticipated, proving that the experience itself had real market pull. The turning point, Wizard of Oz. Momentum accelerated when The Wizard of Oz at Sphere premiered on August 28, 2025. This Sphere experience positioned itself as a new long-running visual production, designed for repeated daily showings rather than single concerts. The collaboration with Warner Bros. Discovery, Google, and the Sphere Studios made it a high-profile test of the venue's business model. Analysts projected that ticket sales could reach up to $2 million per day once the production settled into its run. Some forecasts suggested the experience could eventually pass $1 billion in revenue, marking a major shift for the venue. Wolf Research estimated that Sphere's gross profit could exceed $500 million in 2026, with adjusted operating income approaching $200 million if projections held. These expectations didn't erase the earlier losses, but they reshaped how the investment was understood. Suddenly, the Sphere looked less like an unsustainable risk and more like a venue that could produce steady long-term returns. Scaling the Sphere. As the Las Vegas venue gained traction, Sphere Entertainment refined its expansion strategy. Plans for London had ended, but new momentum pointed toward building a second full-scale Sphere in Abu Dhabi. That direction highlighted cities more receptive to large-scale LED structures and tourist-driven entertainment. Another concept gained interest at the same time: smaller 5,000-seat mini-spheres. These venues could bring the Sphere-style experience to more markets without requiring a $2.3 billion investment each time. The smaller buildings would allow the company to scale the brand while managing risk more effectively. By mid-2025, Sphere Entertainment reported positive adjusted operating income across several quarters, with Q3 2025 revenue reaching $262.5 million. A 15% increase over the previous year. These results reflected a shift from panic toward cautious optimism. Whether the long-term model succeeds or stalls, the project began showing signs that it wasn't confined to its earliest setbacks. Conclusion: this is what happened when a $2.3 billion experiment in entertainment collided with real-world financial pressure, construction delays, neighborhood opposition, and global scrutiny. The Sphere entered the spotlight carrying enormous expectations and even larger expenses, and its early performance made many people doubt it could ever recover. Yet the venue also became the highest-grossing live event space on Earth, drew millions of visitors, and found success through large-scale digital productions like The Wizard of Oz at Sphere. It remained a financial risk, but it also revealed an audience willing to support a new kind of experience. Whether the Las Vegas Sphere becomes a long-term success or remains a cautionary tale about oversized ambition, its story shows how a project can be labeled a failure, even as it reshapes an industry. The truth sits somewhere in between, and the next few years will define what this $2.3 billion gamble ultimately becomes.